My name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is holy elements. Why does Heather Feather keep making videos that start with the word holy? What are we doing? Holy also means sacred. And so I'm illuminating that there's a sacredness to light, to shadow, to the microcosm, to the elements. And the next video I will do, and the final one in this line, is called Macrocosm, Holy Macrocosm. I'm illuminating the sacredness back of that which we speak on in this realm. And that sacredness is present because part of the shamanic path is about being a bridge between the spiritual and the physical realm. And we have a tremendous amount of burden of proof, I would say, regarding the spiritual realm. Near-death experiences, reincarnation, there are all kinds of spiritual aspects of what we could consider consciousness beyond the grave, or the idea or concept of a spirit being present or a soul being present, that we can certainly ignore. But if we want to be more scientific, we could explore, and we could explore spirit. And that's called the unseen realm. And then there's the seen realm, the elements, if you will, right? We have fire, we have air, we have water, and we have earth. These four elements. And so these elements we can see. It's like, well, there's the fire, Heather. It's on fire. That earth element of logs is on fire, and the air is keeping the fire going, and I'm going to use water to put it out if we go somewhere. So we can see and engage with the holy elements of this world. There are also components present that do not necessarily, as Heather Feather often says, fit under a microscope. It does not mean that they're not present, right? We don't usually put the wind under a microscope, but we can feel the breeze if we but go outside. Now, we may not know of the wind if we are agoraphobic and we never go outside. And we may go, there's no such thing as wind. I've never experienced it. In the same vein, most two-leggeds will experience love, feel love, express love, know love, receive love. And love, although we could say, okay, there's some biochemistry with oxytocin, love is an experience, but it is something that is not necessarily seen. We can maybe see through the behavior that love is present, but where is it? What is its volume and weight? How much of the supply is available? You know what I mean? It doesn't lend itself to scientific experiments in the same way that the sacred or the spirit or the soul or the divine may not fit into, not everything necessarily fits into a microscope or into the concept of physics. And so, not here to try to convince you, I'm just here to support why Heather keeps pointing to this word holy. It's because to me it means sacred, and part of being on the shamanic path is being a bridge between the spiritual and the physical world. And so it is having an openness to the unseen, and it is being willing to investigate, meditate, go into your inner temple of light, see if you find a soul. Do that for several decades, and then tell me what you find there after you scientifically experiment with this concept called spirit. Let's figure it out. What's going on? You know? And so those that tend to be on the shamanic path or on the medicine person path are those often that have had a very traumatic and dark life, and that's caused them to seek out the unseen realm in order to get away from the seen realm and find peace. But one of the things we can find in the seen realm are these elements of fire, air, water, and earth. And those elements have been echoed through the annals of time through a variety of systems. Astrology is an example. Those four elements are present in the zodiac. Tarot is an example. The four suits, we have wands, staffs, staves, which represent fire because we light sticks of wood on fire. We have swords, which cleft through the air and represent the element of air. We have cups, chalices, bowls, which represent water because they hold the water that we can consume, the agua de vida. And then we have pinnacles, coins, discs, and that usually represents earth, the money we spend, the value we place upon things. So it's present in the tarot, present in astrology, present in feng shui. We have this wide array of systems that when you go to look at them and study them, that have to do more with the unseen realm or the unseen development of clairsenses, intuition, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairgustance, clairalience, things that are less of a physical world. There is a component in which these four elements infuse with a fifth element. What is that fifth element? That fifth element is the sacred and holy component that Heather keeps pointing to in these videos. It is the spirit of intent. It is the spirit of consciousness. It is the I am that I am observer that is observing all that is that. Okay. So, what is the formula for manifestation? What you think about and you feel about, you will bring about. Air, water, earth. What you can conceive and believe, you will perceive in the field, right? It will become the reality. As above, so below. What you hold in mind, you'll witness in the paradigm. So there's a lot of echoes in the way we can interpret the sign, symbols, and clues of as above, so below. It can be divinity through the vessel or spirit through the physical world, or a lot of connections there. And so, in the upcoming class this summer on the foundations of shamanism, we are going to have 4 weeks of class dealing with the 4 elements that get infused with the spirit of intent when we intend to have an alternate manifestation, an alternate creation. The element that often is, I find, most needed, and does not surprise me that so much of the world has been on fire, if you will. May all beings that have experienced that know grace and peace and ease and find the resources that they need in these hours. I continue to pray for you. May the path be easy to the thing called home, which is such a delicious word to know, to have your own sacred nest. And this being said, that outward manifestation of the sign, symbol, and clue of fire being present in the consciousness of mankind, to me, is a collective consciousness awakening around the need that we have to fire up a new idea. So fire as an element, whether it's in the tarot, whether it's in astrology, whether it's in feng shui, pick a system where we see the elements. Fire always represents creativity, passion, energy, fun, play. You know, how much does humanity need to stop being serious and play and lighten up a little bit and stop taking their eternality so seriously? You got forever. It's going to be okay. You know, I think that serves tremendously, but I'm also a clown lady. So, and I do think severity and seriousness, it can help us to be studious, but it can be quite a poison if we're going to enjoy this life. And we tend to think the same thoughts. We have, 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. For the vast majority of humans, 60 to 80% of those thoughts tend to be negativistic in nature. And so what we think about, we'll find that we feel about. Anytime your heart, anytime your feelings are like, oh, feels like sometimes I would say, I'm getting punched in the stomach over and over again, you know. Anytime you're going through an experience where viscerally you feel gross, your emotional waters, your agua de vida, your life-giving waters are the exact thing that are telling you that your air element, your mind, is trickling down, blowing in dirty winds, which is creating dirty water. And if you don't want dirty water or dirty heart or dirty feelings, you got to clear up the channel of the mind. In order to clear up the channel of the mind, you got to fire up a new idea, because the challenge of this realm is that what you think about and continuously feel about, you magnetize and experience. And this hologram dream Maya illusion is what some things that Heather would call it, space-time delusion, that we are experiencing, called let's pretend separate in a sea of atoms and oneness. Let's pretend separate, even though it's one undulating blob of same. In that sea of oneness, we tend to think the same thoughts, have the same feelings, and what we think about and feel about, we bring about, and we manifest the same reality. We just keep manifesting, and we keep thinking the same thoughts. Oh no, the world, oh no, people, oh no, everything, and then that feels terrible because it's not an enlightened, in the light, in the luminescence, in the light of truth, in the light of love, I am meant and intended to be in enlightened thinking. And it doesn't lend oneself to enlightened waters to offer the all of creation, agua de vida, water that truly provides, that is life-giving, life-affirming. And we wind up with a paltry sum in the manifested realm of what it is we might want to witness with these emptiness atoms that everything's made up. And so fire is where we fire up a new idea. Shamans have also been referred to through the annals of time as fire in the head. They have fire in their head because they're able to fire up. First of all, that fire is about connecting to spirit. Sahasrara, ajna, these crown and brow, third eye chakras being attuned fire in the head attuned to the Great Spirit. But it can also represent their ability to illuminate and fire up a new idea, a new context, a new way in which one can view something. And so when we imagine the world anew, we give ourselves an opportunity to have things be different. What if men weren't the terrible enemy of the modern age, but instead were beings that have been given this toxic consciousness that their only value comes through their offering physically, through their car, through their home, through their money, through their jobs? And what if we've objectified our males in that regard by only witnessing their value through what they can provide physically, rather than honoring that they have a spirit, honoring that they have a heart, honoring that they have a mind? And then we wind up with males that we find in a toxic state that are objectifying women, but yet they've spent a lifetime being objectified themselves. So weird. I wonder where that came from, you guys. Weird. I'm not saying that women don't sexually abuse, objectify, physically abuse, or traumatize men as well. So let's not get it twisted. I'm just trying to illuminate that sometimes I'm always trying to look at the source. Where did this goofiness start? And my heart weeps for men. I am sorry. I am sorry, my Ken, that you are so objectified culturally. And I am sorry that you can be vilified for the beauty of your heart, the beauty of your grief, the beauty of your heartache when a relationship ends that with someone you dearly loved and wanted to be with. And when you lose a child that you wanted, or I'm sorry for your pain and your suffering, and how culturally we often don't accept the gnashing of teeth and weeping and hurt and heartache and feeling weakened that one can experience as a two-legged walking in this realm just because you have a phallus. I am sorry that you are treated that way in this oddly genitalia obsessed realm. Weird humans. We're real obsessed with genitals down here. It's, we maybe need to support, just go see the Birds and the Bees video by Heather. We maybe need to support communication more around sexuality and genitals. And I digress. The point is that we have the capacity to use this elemental formula, fire up a new idea. If things are feeling bad, you've probably been thinking the same thing. If the manifestation doesn't look the way you want it to look, you are a holy, sacred consciousness and creator and intender. And you are intending and infusing into the quantum waves of probability what types of particles, coins, discs, pinnacles appear before your very eyes, and how the world will be valued, and whether or not it will be a prize. And so we may need to conceive of a new way we hold a given thing, rather than doing the same thing and expecting different results, which is the definition of insanity. I'm going to do a video sometime soon on toxic feminism in the modern age. I'm experiencing a lot of toxic feminist conversation around feminism having to do with women, which it doesn't. The original OG definition of feminism is equality of the sexes. And if we're going to talk about equality, we need to really consider how beings are not treated equal, all the beings. If we want cultural equality, we need to make sure we consider all cultures on the table. You can't hand something that is desperately needed by a people without considering the all, because it's a sea of atoms and sameness. And so one of the things we will look at through some of the other lessons is the intender, the spirit, the being, the consciousness that is infusing into the dream, how these four elements come together to be that which we witness. So we will do holy fires, holy smokes, holy waters, and holy lands in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th week of Be the Answer, the Foundations of Shamanism class this summer, June and July, every Thursday night from 6 to 8 Mountain Daylight Time, or, translate for your time. 7 to 9 for Central. I have a lot of Central Daylight Time students. But for 8 weeks, we're going to do a deep dive into the sacredness back of the design and awaken to our capacity as we are all influencers in the dream. You can go to 𝐟𝐵IRDmedicine.com, click on the classes link to learn a little bit more about that. I've got videos that I've been doing that are stacked in there for you to watch. And you can also click book online if you'd like to book that class, or you can text me at 512-620-0222 if you'd like to make weekly payments. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I always love your thoughts. I'm Moon.